Okay, so we're going to talk about Joe Biden.
Biden.
And the fact that, I mean, it's so unbelievably painful that, for one thing, I do feel a little bit like I was wrong about Biden. And I want to say that completely up front, that like I was one of those people at some level who was kind of sort of saying, yes, he's way slower than he was in 2020, but he's kind of our best shot for the Democrats still, and he's holding it together, and the State of the Union was fine. I was one of those people just kind of, also, like, I'm so bored with mainstream politics. I really wasn't tuning in that much to, like, Biden gave a talk, and here's what he looks like now. That kind of stuff was so boring to me. I really did just kind of tune it out the last year. And then whenever the Republicans would drop a clip of him stumbling, or it's like, of course he does. Like, he does that all the time. And like, we do that on the Democratic side too. Like, David Pakman always pulls clips of Trump being like, oh, he's losing his mind. It's kind of like, yeah, he's kind of not really though. We all know.
Trump, dude. The Trump derangement syndrome thing, like it's been a little over leveraged culturally, but I'm like, it is real though.
I mean, for my part, I never actually played into the Trump is losing his mind thing that much, because I could tell it was manufactured by Democrats. But my flaw was that I thought that the Democrats were, I mean, the Republicans were equally manufacturing some of the Biden stuff. It turns out, because of that debate, and like I've actually like followed it now. I followed it now more closely. Oh my God, like Biden literally cannot run. He cannot run. It's
like literally Biden probably couldn't even jog.
He's more physically fit than he's mentally fit. Like, because we had that clip the other day about talking about his physical fitness. He actually looks pretty fit, right? Like,
do you think he could run like a quarter mile without dying?
And what 81-year-old man can? I don't know.
Yeah, fair. Okay, so you were wrong about Biden.
I was wrong in my ignorance to have not followed it more closely. How did you feel about this? Did you feel like when I first turned on that debate, it was 5 seconds in, I was like, I have been misled. I'm so wrong. I said I was no, I'm not voting for this. I want to talk about like what I want to do, like would I vote for him or not? I'm curious your take on that too. I have a take on this, but yeah, when you first tuned into that debate, or you first followed this, like, what did you think? Were you caught off guard by how bad this was?
Oh, Biden, the cadaver Robinette, Biden, Joseph, fuck man. Yeah, I mean, I actually was pretty like, I did watch a lot of his stuff over the last like year. And when we did our podcast where we were brigaded by the angry Republicans for being Biden simps, at that point, like, I had kind of seen where he was at. He looked really rough in that debate in a way where it just bummed me out. And it didn't even bum me out for like the country, it just bummed me out for him. You know, where I'm like, I don't know, I'm getting older. I'm starting to think about death more, and think about like how, you know, ideally you want to like spend the rest of your life or the end of your life. And like, man, making somebody be the president until they fucking actually die. Dude, it's just
making, it's all him. Everyone wants him to drop out. Aside from like his wife and Hunter.
I think it's kind of a Reagan situation though, where it's like he's pot committed in a way that there's forces that are driving his candidacy that are so much more powerful than his personal free will at this point.
I thought that until me reading like the New York Times commentary about that. Like, he's lost everybody. Yesterday, the top Democrats, like the House Minority Leader, like tip top Democratic Party people, they got together in a room and they were like, he's got to drop out, right? And they were like, yeah, he's got to drop out. And they haven't told him this, they haven't confronted him about it, but it made the New York Times. And these are the people that he's going to have to work with. And if they want him to drop out, that ain't good. And he has said, like today, the newest headline was that he's not dropping out. They're going to have to fight him at the convention if they want him to drop out. And that's him knowing, like, he wouldn't say something like that unless he knew what sort of pressure is mounting against him. And that's just like him digging in his heels and being dumb. right?
I want to see Joe take it to the mat, dude. I want to see what them fists do. He's got to fight. He's going to duke it out at the convention. You think they're going to give him like one of those big Q-tips and make him go American Gladiator style?
It sounds like that's what his vision is for what he's got. He's got.
O'Rourke.
It's like he thinks he's gonna have to manually fight for this or something. But it's just like, dude, oh man, you've lost the confidence of everybody. And where do you go from there? You go from there by sticking to your word that he was going to be a one-term president. He said that all along. When he was running in 2020, he said, "I'm going to be a one-term president. I am a bridge to the future of the Democratic Party." This was like his talking point that he ran on. That's kind of why I voted for him, because like now that I'm going through this whole like, whoa, I got this wrong thing. I remember I didn't like him in 2020. He was not even my second or third or fourth choice.
He wasn't anyone's. I'll remind us all that when he got the nomination, we were all furious because it was clearly stolen from Bernie. Right? Like we were all pissed to see Bernie get fucking railroaded like that.
And there was young blood, dude. There was like Pete Buttigieg and other young guys and young women who could have just
and kind of the Kamala VP pick came just completely out of nowhere. Nobody gives a fuck about this lady. People knew who she was, but she's not like a politically significant figure. She's just an identity significant figure, unfortunately. She's a powerful woman that's brown, and that like checks all the boxes. It's the same thing Trump did, you know what I mean, with Pence, where he's like, we gotta throw some meat, to the people on the outside of my base. I need to bring this like outer fold inward. But oh man, that bums me out to hear that. I mean, it does to me read that being the president and being in control of stuff maybe is like the final animating force that this dude has, which is like, you know how it is, like when like someone like an older person loses their spouse or something, like they die soon after, that's very common. And it's like, I think that might be, he's lost so many things in his life, man. He's like at the end of a long life of a lot of loss and a lot of pain. And like, I could imagine that a responsibility like this would be maybe one of the final things that's really animating the dude. Who knows though? Maybe he'll have 10 more years after he, hopefully steps down from the Democratic nomination, dude. Fuck, Biden, get out of there, dude.
I'm kind of thinking he's not going to make it to the convention. I think that the pressure is going to continue to mount, and he's going to realize he's got to like drop sooner rather than later. I could absolutely be wrong about
drop
this.
Dead?
But not dead. just gracefully, or maybe gracefully hand the reins over to Kamala or something like that.
I think that bums me out to hear even more then, because it's like, the whole Reagan story is that second term he was, I think I'm thinking of the right president, but was that he had dementia second term and didn't want to actually be president for the second term. And everybody around him, his wife, the Republican Party was really forcing him to, I'm sorry if this is the wrong president, but this is the story for one of the recent presidents.
I heard it's Reagan too. I'm not helping out here. Sorry.
I think it was Reagan. But, and he was like sliding into dementia for the last half of the second term of his presidency. And it's like, but a lot of people were kind of being like, hey, like, we need this win right now. Sorry. But it's a fucked up thing to do. It's just a fucked up way to end your life, to be under that much stress. Like you need to have a couple years where you're just chilling in a lake house or something. If you've managed to do so much for this country, like Joe, here's what I want to say to Joe Biden. Joe Biden, I know you're listening to this right now, so let me just speak right to you. No, I would be like, dude, you've done so much for this country. Like truly, genuinely, like you left nothing on the field. You did everything you possibly could in the span of a human life to be of service to this country. You can lay the sword down now. Nobody's going to think less of you for it, dude. Literally nobody's going to think less of you for it. You did it. Hats off to you. Let somebody else do it now. Because like, the cadaver energy at the debate was so gnarly. Like it was like, have you ever out in public and you see like an older person with like a goiter, you know what I mean? And it just like, it just activates this like kind of sinking feeling in your gut where you're like, oh, buddy, you know what I mean? Like it just felt like that to me the whole time where I'm like, oh, buddy, just the like, you know what I mean? Like the whole time where I was just like, oh man, this guy's fucking holding on for dear life. And he's still pretty cogent, right? Like, he's still pretty cogent, like, legitimately.
I mean, kind of, sort of. That's where I
Well,
don't know.
I
His
don't know.
inability to finish sentences, his trying to, like, he sees a thought out there and he's trying to go for it, but then it just dies. And he sees another thought over there and he tries to go for it, and then it just, like, dies and he can't reach there. And then he keeps doing that. And then all of a sudden he's just like, he's basically like, no, or whatever, you know. And it's like, he did that so many times. Like, God, it's right there. The
I couldn't
right
finish
there.
the debate. I couldn't. It was too sad. It just made me too sad.
I was drinking martinis with Sam and Chenzo, and we were getting pretty lit.
That must have been a raucous debate watching party.
Screaming. We were howling, which is like maybe the best way to take all that in. But so I have one more question on this. I mean, everyone's talking about this, so I don't want to go on too long about it. But like my one question that is a real question. Okay, yeah. Let me go first.
Yeah.
Will you actually vote for him in November?
Yeah.
You will. Okay.
Yeah.
Explain yourself.
I'm not gonna be a dumbass and throw my vote away. Period. Right? And I'm not voting for Trump. So I don't know. As a political pragmatist, you feel me? Like, I'm voting for whoever the Democratic Party forces me to vote for, and then we'll continue to vociferously advocate for the dissolution of a two-party system, right? But as long as we're in a two-party system and I don't want Trump to win, I got to vote for the other guy. So it just kind of is what it is.
Interesting. I have more of a hot take on this one.
Oh yeah, are you an ethical? Options. Do you have an ethical moral?
I'm a pragmatist too. I really am. Yeah. But like, part of my pragmatism is that I live in California. If I lived in a purple state, this would I would think about this way harder. So I'm just sort of like my this actually doesn't matter hot take. Yeah. Two hot takes. One, and these are my gut feelings, guys. This is not like me like, you know, sitting down with a moral philosopher to get this correct. These are my gut feelings. My first one is, fuck yes, I'm voting for Joe Biden harder than ever, because that shows that this vote is not a vote for Joe Biden. This is a vote against Trump. And I hate Trump so bad. And I think he's such a threat to our democracy. I will literally vote for a fucking bucket of mud over that motherfucker. And the worse Biden looks, the more of a fuck you vote that becomes a Trump, because the more I'm saying that, even look at fucking that thing is still better than that orange man over here. Okay, so that's one gut feeling.
Great. Not that hot of a take. I think pretty dead center sentiment with the rest of the Democratic Party.
This is off brand for me to have that sort of a take. So that's what feels hot to me. But my other take is that I won't vote for Joe Biden. And this is slightly actually more like real for me a little bit. I won't, because I have been saying for so long now that the average Republican should just sit out the vote and not vote for Trump. And if you and hold your nose, and if you can't vote for the Democrat, just don't vote. But Trump is that big of a threat. He shouldn't be on that pedestal to such an extent that you literally morally should not vote for him. I've been saying that forever. Now the Democratic Party has given the Democrats that same devil's bargain. And I'm saying, if I hold Republicans to that standard, I should hold myself to that standard and not vote for the guy who like physically is incapable or mentally is incapable of holding that office. And it's a disservice or a dishonor to the office itself to vote for someone who literally cannot work beyond the hours of noon to 4 or whatever his own like party said. Okay, that's actually a more genuine take for me. But like, both I think you can't have a non-spicy take here, because everything is nonsensical. Everything is like frustrating. What are your thoughts on all that?
I don't know. Your first one on vibe check alone, I vibe with. Yeah. I definitely think, whatever the fuck Trump vote is the vote that I'm taking. Because like, I've come around to Trump a little bit more. I don't think he is as much of a threat to democracy as most people think he is, because I think the democracy is just a lot more robust than most people think it is. But he is a threat to all kinds of other things, and it's just kind of gross to have a huckster and like at the stage that we're at in culture, where we're post Me Too, post Black Lives Matter, post pandemic, like all these posts of like things where we're all a lot more educated, whether we like it or not now. It's like we can't have the redux of this guy, right? And like Biden's similar, but Biden was a good answer to all of those things. Biden was a very calm and kind of chill president for 4 years. Nothing did real serious happened on his. I mean, the Ukraine situation, but like the wars, but I mean, like we're not actively engaged in any of those wars. We're not in any.
It is a real, genuine, authentic talking point the Republicans have and hang over the Democrats that like if Trump were in office, these wars wouldn't have started. No one knows. Like we're just playing guessing games here, but like I could actually see that being kind of maybe possibly true because Trump is such a whack job. I mean,
I think that it's like he's such a fucking 5150 dude. He's like the guy is so psychotic in so many different ways. Like he's not going to kill himself, but what I mean is that there's just like a psychosis baked into the dude that he's got like a kind of distanced I don't know, like a distanced perspective from reality. And like, I think that something like Russia, Ukraine could have easily gone either way with Trump, where maybe we'd have, we could maybe have fucking boots on the ground right now. Cause if Putin was like, fuck this guy, like literally if Putin was like Trump, gay, you know what I mean? Trump would have been like, fucking troop surge, dude.
That's exactly what I was going to say for my take is all Putin has to say or any world leader is just something that personally offends Trump. Yeah, and then it tides change, man.
Oh, this little small-handed fat American
he takes things so personally that like just insults him personally and then tides turn.
I think that's one of the dangers of having Trump having like the nuclear key, you know? Like I think there's parts of Trump being president that don't have anything to do with democracy, that have to do with just like global safety. Because it's like the nuclear key doesn't have very many stopgaps between the president using it, right? Like there are a few people who have to turn the key with him, but not many. You know, that's one of those weirdly kind of direct paths to total annihilation that everybody has, and that we kind of forget how easy it's like. Everybody thinks that there's a bureaucracy involved in everything in government. Launching a nuclear weapon requires an absolute razor minimum of bureaucracy. There's like 3 people that have to agree to it to happen. You know, so that's fucking really serious for me, stuff like that. But like, I don't know, crumbling the democracy or starting a civil war, that's all propaganda, dude. Like person to person.
Maybe because like it's not even necessarily him now. It's everyone that he's installed who would do the utmost to keep him in power. This is all very real. Like, because once he gets in power again, he's just not going to want to lose power ever again.
No,
and
he's not.
it like, you know, slipping away like sand through his fingers last time, and he like hasn't let go of the line that he deserves it. He should say, he's going to say, because my second term was taken from me, I need to now have a third term to make up for that. You know that immediately the second he gets in office, that's going to be his line. He's going to start dropping that in interviews until it's normal. Because that's what he does. He takes it in this utterly beyond the pale, drops it like, ha, 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 that's kind of funny. Trump said this. And then like a year later, it's not like a joke anymore. It's normal. And everyone is like taking it seriously.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm so worried about that. I think he's a genuine threat. And even if he's not,
I think that's fair.
Even if he's not, and it all is just like propaganda that is just red meat for his base, even if that is completely the case, I'm sick of having to talk about this. Like guardrails of our democracy. Guys, we should not be talking about this.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be.
Oh, man.
Like,
I love that argument. I really love that argument because you're absolutely right. Like we're at a point in democracy, you know, where we should be sailing strikes pretty consistently here. Like should not have to be going to the front desk asking to pop bumpers up on the lanes.
Yeah,
because we can't keep it out of the gutter.
Exactly.
No, I think you're right, man. I guess there's existential threats to it. I guess my person-to-person experience is that people are just, look, buddy, like as much as we saw people rioting during like the George Floyd and Black Lives Matter situation, like Americans are just not, by and large, a publicly violent society like France is or like Brazil is. You know, like we tend not to get together in large numbers and do crazy shit. Most people are very individualized, and as much as they'd like to think they're part of some collective, like Republicans or like, you know, whatever, the white nationalists or Democrats or whatever, it's like most people are so thoroughly siloed into their own lives and lifestyles. nobody's gonna get together a fucking civil war, dude. That takes a level of organization that I don't think it even exists in this country at the non-federal level. But I digress. What were we talking about?
Well, yeah, I have thoughts on there too. Maybe I'll.
Weigh in.
Maybe my thought
Weigh
is
in.
my quick thought. Yeah.
Here's our soundbite for the day. America's next civil war. You decide.
Yeah. Well, because we talk about how America. People always say this, and I agree. Let's be clear. I agree. People always say what you said, that we just as a society no longer blah 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 blah. We couldn't take
We're
up
not really
guns, et cetera, et
rioters
cetera.
anymore.
I think that there is this phenomenon in humanity that goes, that supersedes whatever societal forces are, and it's like young male testosterone and aggression, and all we just need is a couple of I don't know, like what would you need? A couple thousand dum-dums with AK-47s and a mission and a guy telling them what to do. And oh, dude, we have 350 million people in this country. A couple of thousand dum-dums. You could totally do it.
No, the federal apparatus is so effective, dude. Like if we lived in a collection of states that didn't have a federal apparatus, we would be in huge risk of having like a everywhere else in the world situation where people are very at odds with each other and there's no way to really kind of equalize. But
I'm not saying like an overthrow of the government would work. That clearly would not work. But like chaos, dude.
For a minute until the military fucking showed up. Because look, as much as there's a bunch of young dudes that are fired up, and maybe the guys that would show up to respond to those dudes would be on the same team to technically Trump, but like I don't know, man. Like we've institutionalized people to a level in this country where they follow orders, man. Like
this is true, but it's also true that in the long game, all countries fail eventually, all governments fail eventually, and like anything like a couple of thousand dudes, maybe many of which are in the military on active duty and sign up for this, like that just quickly leads to the actual real talk downfall of our country eventually. Like that's the first step along that path. Every country falls, they always do, and we're no exception.
Peter, so far, like we're not us yet, dude. We're still going. No, I know, truly,
to come back to like reality, I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't either. I just think there's too much.
I'm sick of thinking about this, right?
There's too much amistad, bro. There's too much. People like each other too much. It's like truly, like it's really easy to get people into a fervor state when they're in their living room, but as soon as they have to go to the grocery store to buy food. You know what I mean? Or go somewhere else and interact with another person that maybe isn't trying to hear about what their political reality is. They're just trying to raise a family. Like, look, dude, all these people in the middle of the country that are so fired up on Trump, you know what? It's with the 5% of their extra time that they're fired up about Trump, because the 95% of the rest of their time is like raising a family and having a normal job. Like people don't actually care as much as we're being told they care about this stuff. Nobody has the bandwidth to start a revolution. What? You know what I mean?
But this is exactly what the Proud Boys were. Like they were trying to do a Jan 6 insurrection. True. It's very well documented, and these were dudes with guns. Yeah, and
I'm just
agenda.
I have so much
dude,
faith
people
in
love
this country, man.
You got to give like young men like the crazy cred that they deserve. Like people love the idea of revolution. Everyone on the left does. Everyone on the right does.
Yeah, but we got MMA. We've got all these sports. We've got like all these ways for young men to off-gas their testosterone and anger.
And we have plenty of jobs. We do have.
And we have tons of jobs, and there's pussy everywhere.
No one's getting laid anymore though, dude. So yeah, I don't know.
Well, they're sure jerking off enough.
True.
I don't know.
End of the day,
man.
I agree, Devin. I do agree with you because I don't want to be
Yeah.
like mega hyperbolic. My grand point here is that I'm sick of like if we were
It's
talking
stupid
about
that we're
Nikki
talking
Haley
about it,
on the
but-
Republican ticket, we wouldn't even be talking about anybody holding
Right.
a gun at all. Like that wouldn't be a thing. But because it's Trump, even if it's silly, what it kind of is, your mind does have to go there. And it's like, dude, I'm so sick of that. I'm so sick of it.
I'm always on this point on this podcast, and I'll just continue to be this person because it's who I am. But I really believe in this country, man. I think that the robustness of the bureaucracy and the democracy that we've built is the most rugged and robust structure that humanity has ever built to contain the social reality of humans. So maybe it'll fall, but it's definitely the best thing that anyone's ever made. Like, inarguably, there's just no way you could argue that there's any political system that works better than this at scale. So anyways, continue. Biden.
I probably agree. I think that America is I don't know. By and large, there's
Never
been
gonna
too
fall,
much.
Peter. Never
There
gonna
has
fall. How dare you?
there has been too much hatred for America on both the left and the right, and we all need to take a breath and realize that like we got it pretty goddamn good here, and we should enjoy that, and we should fight for that.
Come on,
Okay.
man.